Welcome to the Backdoor Fantasy Sports Podcast with Russo and Jordy.
What's up, guys? Hope you're having a good weekend. It's Friday. Jordy and I are a little tired. We've been going pretty hard lately with our schedule, but we're excited to get back into the Fantasy Football Podcast, talk a little bit of football. We're going to recap last night's game, and we're going to break down the entire Sunday slate, and then we're going to get into some DraftKings lineups for this week for Sunday, for the Sunday slate. If you guys are playing DFS, I don't know if all of you out there that watch this show play DFS like we do, but our main show is about picks on Underdog and Prize Picks and other platforms. So I got to tell you guys about Underdog's boost promos. They're dropping every single day right now for Boosttober. Right now, there's a 60% boost for the NBA available. That was their promo today. They're dropping a boost token every single day, but they're also running a promo where they're giving you unlimited 20% boost tokens on every NBA entry for the first week of basketball. So if you haven't signed up for Underdog yet, use code BACKDOOR, and they're going to give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash with your first deposit. They're going to give you a free pick to help you cash your first slip. And if you like playing smaller slips, like two-man slips, you got to check out what they're doing with streaks. It's so cool. You make a two-man slip. If you cash it for the next slate, you can add a single play and keep building out win after win. And then it keeps stacking the multiplier. So you can keep stacking it for as long as you want and then cash it out. Just pull out of it when you're ready. It's a lot of fun. So use code BACKDOOR. Take advantage of those sign-up promos and the boosts that they're dropping every day. And we're also partnered with Sleeper, who's also running promos for NBA. So if you use code BACKDOORFS on Sleeper, you'll get 100% deposit match up to $100. And they gave me a protected play. I got a $25 protected play that I'm excited to probably jump into after we make this video. So all that being said, let's talk about last night's game. This one frustrated me. It was an exciting game, but no game should end that way, with Sam Darnold getting a blatant face mask in the end zone. They call a safety. Game's pretty much over at that point. The NFL has to do something about missed calls like that. Like, why can't coaches challenge a missed call? I don't understand it. That was so obvious. And then when they were showing the replay in slow motion, and you see the ref just staring at him, like, how does everybody watching this game see this happen except for the ref, whose job it is to make these calls?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
Yeah, it was a crazy game. I definitely got this one wrong in my head. I didn't make an assumption the other day, surprisingly. I'm pretty assumptionist sometimes, but I didn't make an assumption on how this game was going to go because I really had no idea. And I'm glad I didn't, because it did not go the way I thought it would. I thought the Vikings were going to come out and put up a defensive monster of a game like they have been, and they looked human again in this game. And my God, do the Rams look so much better with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Like, it's crazy how much it opens up Demarcus Robinson and even Kyren Williams. I mean, we were both wrong about this. We were scared of Kyren, and not that we didn't think he could do what he did, but we were just scared of the matchup. But I mean, my God, 23 carries for 97 yards. And a 5-reception game for 19 yards and a touchdown. So monster performance from him. Puka Nacua, my lord, 7 receptions for 106 yards. On the other side of the ball, you got Justin Jefferson, 8 receptions for 115 yards. Trent Sherfield got in for a touchdown, so did Josh Oliver. That's kind of random, but it was a really well played game by the Rams. Unfortunate on that call, but yeah, like, to add on to what you were saying, I don't understand why they gave us this great rule of being able to challenge pass interference calls or, calls of that nature, and then they just take it away. It's like they were saying it slowed the game down. How much slower can the game get? They throw flags every other play anyway. What does it matter? Why can't the coaches take 30 seconds to a minute to challenge a play? The refs need to be able to be challenged. They get away with everything. They get away with being horrible. They get away with being lazy, and it's dumb. When something as blatant as that happens, where the dude's turning into an owl and his head has done a complete 180. Like, what do you think happened? How do you miss that? There's a ref standing right under the goalpost watching the whole thing go down. I don't know how you miss that. It's just ridiculous, man. It's like they get these geezer refs out there who are like 65 years old and they can't keep up with everything that's happening. It's like, I think either you need more referees on the field at all times watching everything, or you need to be able to challenge the calls, because it's just dumb. I mean, they miss everything.
I'm so sick of this excuse of like it slows the game down. Any football enthusiast is not sitting here going like, oh man, I've it's like, it's not like you're on your way to a meeting or something and you got to hurry up and get out of there. It's like, we're sitting here watching football. We want the best outcome, the most honest outcome, the most fair outcome. And we see plays like this that are missed, and nobody watching that game has an issue with, hold up a second, we may have missed something. This coach just threw his challenge flag. We're going to review it, see if we missed this. This in this situation, the game was on the line. This is the the Vikings probably lost this game even if that hadn't happened, but that you just can't let a game end that way. And it just really frustrated me. But yeah, Sam Darnold, 18 of 25, 240 yards and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Justin Jefferson had a great game, 8 receptions, 115 yards on 9 targets. He was looking great. No one else really did that much in the passing game. Aaron Jones, 2 receptions, 37 yards, not bad. And then he had 19 carries for 58 yards. And yeah, I mean, gosh, I took the Cooper Kupp over 9.5 receiving targets because all the word was that Puka Nacua, they might just sit him out one more week. Maybe he'll play. Then it was maybe he'll play unlimited snaps. And then it's like he comes out and he's just dominant. He looked 100%. It's like 9 targets, 7 receptions, 106 yards. They looked great. And, Kevin O'Connell, I believe he comes from, didn't he? He was with the Rams. So this is tough when you're going up against the dude that you worked under. So Sean McVay just showing again that he's an absolute G of a play caller.
Yeah.
It looked great. And I mean, I was watching that game just going, how does Kyron Williams do it? He gets so beat up and he plays bigger than anybody in the NFL. And he's not very big, but the dude just gets like slammed around and pops up and he's fine. And then he is such a one of a kind, build for being what I would consider relatively undersized. What is he, like 5'9" or 5'10"?
It's like 5'8". Like he honestly reminds me. He reminds me so much of Devonta Freeman, like when he was in his prime, of like just absolute bell cow for his size, and he's got great pass catching ability. And it's like, but he has that like violent running style like Devonta Freeman had. Like he's not always gonna make it and turn it into something crazy, but a lot of the times he's breaking tackles and he does really, really well for his size. I think
it's unbelievable.
I was looking at this the other day too. For running backs, he's 3rd in yards after contact, right behind Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. So for a guy his size to be 3rd in yards after contact is super impressive.
Yeah, he looked so money. And I was worried about him when Cooper Kupp and Puka were out. And you had that call absolutely right. I was wrong. I was saying teams will just be able to stack the box and force these young receivers, and Kyron just worked right through that. They fed him. And I think that like, this is just, if you've got Kyron Williams, you're good. Like for fantasy, like 23 carries, that's just like a normal outing for him. 5 receptions. He's so essential to what they're doing. And we know, I think Blake Corum looks good. I think that he has a future with the Rams, but no one can do what Kyron's doing, and no one was doing that before. And so when he got his opportunity, like Cam Akers never looked like this, and so it's always special for fantasy when you have a piece that has to be a part of the game plan every single week.
Yeah.
And maybe we're about to see the Rams go on another run here and make a playoff spot, snag themselves a spot. But Yeah, I mean, I also saw a statistic last night that Kevin O'Connell in, I believe it's short window games, um, uh, he's actually like they're actually like 1-6 in these small window games. So
It's
like,
tough to do that, especially when you're going against, an offensive superpower like the Rams can be. It doesn't even matter if they have the worst players in the league. I think he could still coach them into a win, just
yeah,
because of his style. So it's just a daunting offense to cover. Like, there's so much movement. They always like lead the league in movement before snap. So the pre-snap motion is just all over the place. So it's hard to get a read on where they're going. And when you got Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, Demarcus Robinson, it's like, good luck, man. Like, really, like you're in for a long, long night against those guys.
yeah, and some of these plays that he was drawing up, like that play when Puka Nacua, they had the pre-snap motion of Cooper Kupp going around to the right side of the field, and then they dished it off to the side to Puka, and then they had, I believe it was maybe Colby Parkinson, the like tight end or someone was out there blocking, and then the yards after the catch, where I was like, that was so beautifully drawn up.
Yeah.
Like these plays are just masterpieces. But yeah, I mean, good for the Rams. It looked good. Like great outing, tough defense, no matter what you're looking at with a short window. So solid win for them. I mean, very unfortunate ending with the refs, but because I think that like their defense was just, they were kind of locked in. Their game plan for Darnold and the Vikings was solid. So I think that they would have won that game regardless, but it just seems like such an unnecessary issue to be having. Like, we can
Oh,
fix this.
absolutely, yeah. It's just like a lazy, like, weak point in the NFL. Honestly, has always been the referees, and it's just super weird that they never fix it.
Yeah. All right, let's break down this Sunday slate.
Let's talk about why you should be using Chalkboard, the daily fantasy platform that runs specials every day of the week. Build plays for as low as $1 and enjoy the wide variety of alt lines. The higher the line, the higher the payout. It's that simple. Once you've made your picks, you can go whole hog with their max cash option or insure yourself with their shield play option. Download Chalkboard on your Apple or Android device and use code BACKDOOR for a 100% deposit match.
Sweet.
So the 1:00 window, we've got the Ravens versus the Browns, 45-point over under. Ravens favored by 8.5. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
But do we get to see Jameis Winston in
Yes,
this game?
he's getting the start. So
I love that. And so
yeah.
I think he could actually have a decent fantasy performance here if you're desperate for quarterback, against this pass funnel defense. I like him to. He's just going to be slinging the ball. I like Njoku this week, and Cedric Tillman looked good.
Yep.
So maybe we see Nick Chubb a little bit better this week too. I was not a Deshaun Watson fan, shocker, but I don't like to see anybody get injured like that. So I do feel for the dude, regardless of what my personal feelings about him are. Nobody's perfect, but I do, on the other hand, really love Jameis Winston. I've been saying his name wrong, but I love Jameis Winston and his lovable, cringy, like pep talks and everything, because it's like some of the stuff, like when he's doing the little W pep talk, like that was so
Yeah.
cringe, but so hilarious at the same time.
Dude,
So
him talking about like supporting Deshaun Watson through all of his stuff was so funny. He was like, I'm going to support him. He's going to be fine. He's a great guy. It's like,
yeah,
even though everyone knows, like, I love how there was another quote from, I think it was Myles Garrett, where he said that, he was like, Deshaun Watson's been a stand-up person for a majority of his career. I was like, it's so funny that majority is the word they have to go with because of all the stuff. But,
yeah. I actually liked what Jameis had to say about, like, you don't have to, like, he basically him saying, like, kind of like, a wink and a nod in the sense of like, I know what you guys know, but I'm not here to cast judgment on people. I'm here to try to build people up regardless of who you are.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought that was pretty cool.
No, he's a great dude, Jameis.
So yeah, for fantasy, I actually really like Rashad Bateman this week. He looked great. He's looking better over the past 3 weeks. He had 2 weeks where he was starting to look finally like the Rashad Bateman we were hoping for. And then when Zay Flowers got injured in that last game, he absolutely popped off. So I like him again because I think Zay is going to still be somewhat limited. Man, they were just feeding Bateman and he was catching everything, looked awesome. So if you've got him for fantasy, awesome. Like you're going to get some value delivered finally. All right. So next up, we got Titans versus the Lions. 45-point over under. Lions favored by 11.5 playing in Detroit. Fire up that Detroit defense for fantasy. If you guys still play, a lot of these guys they think that we're just relics for still using defense and kickers in fantasy. But I love that. I love that extra added strategy. But yeah, I mean, gosh.
This is going to be a slaughter. I mean,
anything on the Titans side for fantasy that we like?
I mean, you probably have to start Tony Pollard. They're who are they starting at quarterback this week? It was someone different. Is it Mason Rudolph? I think they're.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's Mason again. I don't think they're going back to Levis.
No, I wish they would because it was hilarious, but
it was.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know, guys. When it comes down to it, you just start Pollard if you got him, and that's probably it. There's no one else.
Yeah. I'm in wait and see mode with Calvin Ridley. It has been such a struggle for him to deliver on fantasy when he's supposed to be there. Jamar Chase were the exact words. But now that we don't have DeAndre Hopkins, maybe we will actually see a little bit of relevance from Calvin Ridley, but I'm not comfortable starting him this week. I'm actually a little hesitant to start David Montgomery. Not that I'm going to not start him, but it's not the smash start. After coming off that weird week last week where he got a little bit banged up and he had an underwhelming fantasy performance, this Titans defense is still pretty tough. They're not a defense that we're targeting, for fantasy. So I love Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, all of your main guys, and Montgomery is definitely a start, but I'm just kind of curious. He looked a little bit different in that last game. So, All right. Next up, we got Packers versus Jaguars. 49-point over under. Packers favored by 4 playing in Jacksonville. Smash start for Packers.
4. What?
I know.
What? Jordan
Smash
Love
start
dead?
for Packers for fantasy, though. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jordan Love should eat this week.
I'm expecting Jordan Love to go for 4 passing touchdowns. Honestly, I think this is gonna be an absolute slaughter.
Yeah. And Jaden Reed still dealing with a little bit of an ankle issue. I really hope he's good to go. He's been playing through it, but he doesn't look like his normal self. He can't really just get going when he's dealing with that little bit of ankle. So I love Romeo Doubs this week. He got a ton of targets. I think he had 8 receptions last week, but the receivers should eat. Dobbs and Dontavian Wicks should have a good game.
I think it's going to look pretty good for Evan Ingram, though. If you got Evan Ingram, I'd start him because I think he looked pretty solid last week, and this is a little bit of a soft matchup for tight ends. Detroit's not the best, so I think at tight end spots.
Green Bay.
Oh yeah, Green Bay. So I would definitely throw in. I think all their pieces. I think Gabe is questionable. Gabe Davis, he might play, but with how much they have to throw the ball, I think all their receivers are relevant. But I'm excited to see if Tanks Bigsby continues his workload.
Yeah, that would be nice. And obviously, if you have Evan Ingram, you probably don't have another tight end you're starting over him anyways.
Yeah.
His target share did come down a little bit last week, which I'm happy about because I'm a Brian Thomas Jr. owner. But yeah, I think we'll probably see a little bit of a balance there because it was heavily Ingram, then heavily Thomas. And so I think that they'll try to balance that out a little bit more. But yeah, what's the situation on ETN? Do we know?
Another week of 3 limited practices, so I don't know. They might sit him again. Either way, I'm starting Tank Bigsby. I can promise you that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting flexed for sure. He's just been way too productive, and even if ETN comes back, I doubt he's seeing a full snap share. I bet you it would be. He's probably going to be very limited if he does play. But we'll see. I mean, I'm excited to see what Tank can do. I think they're slowly kind of giving him the reins, and I'm excited.
Yeah, he looks like he deserves it too.
Yep.
All right. Colts versus Texans, 45-point over under. Texans favored by 5 playing in Houston. This should be a smash matchup for the Texans. But we'll see. They're only favored by 5. CJ Stroud has looked a little off in the last 2 games. They're obviously really missing Nico.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, Joe Mixon in every week, killer start. Is Tank Dell still dealing with a little something?
I feel like everyone's dealing with a little something.
Yeah, it's true. This has been a brutal year. I'll pull it up. Yeah, maybe I won't.
I can pull it up for you. Let's see.
Yeah, mine's loading slowly.
No, he's cleared.
There we go. Okay.
Not even an injury report at all on him. So.
Okay, well, I love Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs. This is a killer matchup for wide receivers. So those two should be able to eat. Joe Mixon, obviously, the dude is just a beast. I don't know much about how I feel about the pass catchers for the Colts, though. There's just a lot of question marks there right now.
Yeah.
We do have Jonathan Taylor back this week, thank God. Maybe that'll open things up a little bit. I'm starting him, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He's an every week starter when he's healthy.
Absolutely.
So maybe Josh Downs. It's just tough with Anthony Richardson. You just don't know what this really looks like. If it was Joe Flacco, it's a totally different story. But Anthony Richardson still has a lot of developing to do. So,
yeah, I know Michael Pittman's cleared to play, but that don't mean too much right now.
Yeah. And it's interesting because Richardson can randomly just pop off, and we've seen him make these pass catchers relevant, but it's not consistent enough right now. But Flacco just like feeds these guys.
Yeah.
All right. Jets versus Patriots, 41-point over under. Jets favored by 7 playing in New England. Is this going to look anything like the last time they matched up? I don't think so.
I think Drake May will keep it more competitive. I'm not convinced at all with the Jets. I don't care how big of a Jets fan you are. I mean, you're worried right now. The Jets don't look good at all. Like, in my opinion, like they've had their moments. But they lost to the Broncos, who at the time their offense had 25 passing yards in that game. It was a very rainy game. It was a very wet game. But I don't know, man. I'm not convinced at all. I could see this being a really sloppy, I don't know about close game, but I could see it being like a 10-17 game. Like, maybe they get into the 20s. But if they do, the Jets could also just run away with this game, and I'm just acting silly. Obviously, the Patriots defense is awful. I think Breece Hall is, a big yes this week for anything. If you're making a lineup for anything or whatever, Breece Hall looks really good this week. All the pass catchers, Devontae Adams, sure, he'll probably have a big game. I don't know. When it comes to the Patriots, though, I do know that I like Drake May. I do know that I love Hunter Henry this week. So go with that, I guess. But when it comes to like the running backs and the pass catchers outside of Hunter Henry, I got no idea.
Yeah, same here. It's like just a flip of a coin whether or not Pop Douglas gets heavily targeted. Because if he does, great. But Hunter Henry seems more reliable right now as far as like where those targets are going to be going. And then, Allen Lazard does seem like the consistent play week in, week out while the Jets are figuring this out.
Yeah.
Dude's been playing really great. And so we'll see. I think that maybe they try to get Devontae Adams going in this because they can't be happy with his debut. I know it was his first game, but They're going to want that connection to be there. I think the Jets get right in this game. The more I keep thinking about it.
Yeah, by all means, they should. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Eagles versus Bengals, 47.5 point over under. Bengals favored by 3. Okay.
I think I agree with that.
Okay.
I think if the Eagles can oppose their run game, it's going to be a long day for the Bengals. But I think the Bengals passing the ball have looked really, really good lately.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be the focus of the Bengals is stop Saquon Barkley. But a healthy A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, like, I don't know.
I don't think
playing in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to see. It also depends if Cincinnati can establish any sort of run game. But yeah, I mean, the Eagles should, probably go win this game. But I do like the Bengals to move the ball on offense with their passing game. I think T. Higgins is looking really good this year.
He is.
So, well, that's another game. It could go either way. I will just have to see with that game. I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you're firing up Saquon every single week because the dude is just a monster. Yeah. I mean, for this, there's not really any like sleeper plays. It's like your main big names. I feel comfortable on both sides.
Yeah.
With this week. All right, Falcons versus Buccaneers, 46 point over under. Falcons favored by 2.5 playing in Tampa Bay. This is going to answer a lot of questions.
Yeah. 2.5 being generous,
I think that the Bucs are going to be fine. Jordy does not.
No,
but
it's over.
Yeah, he thinks it's over. I think they're going to be okay. I love Cade Otton this week at tight end, coming off that performance, 8 receptions for 100 yards. We've got no Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. He's the most familiar target, and he popped off last week, so he's got a decent matchup here against the Falcons. I think he's going to be the security blanket for Baker. I just believe in Baker. I think that Jalen McMillan is familiar with this offense. Is it Trey Palmer?
Mm-hmm.
He's good to go. He's familiar with the offense, and Sterling Shepard. I don't like him for fantasy this week, but I think that they're going to figure this out. I don't think that this is as detrimental as it seems. I know that both Godwin and Mike Evans were playing great, but I think that they'll be able to figure this out and keep this close.
Yeah. Sterling Shepard interests me a little bit because he was seeing high snap share through the last through week 4 to 6. Obviously, week 6 was a little bit of a weird one because they were down so much, or they were not down so much, but they were absolutely just torching the Saints. So he came on the field a lot more. But yeah, I don't know. It's in my opinion, the only reason I'm like saying it's over is because Baker has been getting increasingly more sloppy with turnovers. Granted, they played a really good defense in the Ravens, so that's not surprising. But I love Baker. I'm a huge Baker fan. Always believed in the dude. I love that he's just balling out. I do think as well that he is balling out. But I think it's gonna, like he said, this is just gonna pass. We're gonna see. It's gonna be an eye test, and we'll see what it looks like without these superstar wide receivers he's been throwing to. But I agree, Cade Otton's gonna be huge. I mean, we saw that in the last game. He just went right to that well every single possession. But I think Jalen McMillan is gonna look really good.
Me too. And the thing about the situation with Sterling Shepard, I believe in the talent. Yeah. But it's just he saw one target last week.
Yeah.
So I'm just like. And but yeah, even with the 2 interceptions, I know some of this was in garbage time when they got the onside kick, but Baker still went for 370 yards and 3 touchdowns. So I think that they'll be able to keep this moving. But yeah, it is going to answer a lot of questions, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we got the Cardinals playing in Miami against the Dolphins. 46 point over under. Dolphins favored by 4.5. The disrespect.
Well, against Tua is back.
Yeah, Tua is back. Still, the disrespect. I mean, Tua did not look great before he went down. So now he's. I hope he's great. I hope Tyreek Hill can finally deliver on his ADP because he's been sitting on my dynasty roster. just doing nothing for me all year. Tyreek Hill said that the news of Tua returning almost made him cry. So
All right.
I hope that's a
there you
good
go.
thing. I still love James Conner in this. Unfortunately, Marvin Harrison Jr., like, you can't really sit him, but super boomer bust. It's just this chemistry issue is still trying to work this out. Trey McBride, solid start. Jalen Waddle is currently questionable. I wonder if he's going to actually play. Let's take a look at the most recent reports. Good to go for Sunday. All right, so he's fine as of 37 minutes ago, dealing with a quad issue.
Okay.
So I hope this turns into a great game. It's been a little bit tough for both of these teams to really. I mean, the Cardinals are sort of figuring it out. They looked good against the Chargers. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. You're firing up Kyler, James Conner, Trey McBride. Other than that, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr., you start him up and hope for the best.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've got to just trust Tyreek Hill this week, even though he's burned me so much this season. Because, yeah, I mean, gosh, the thing is like it's been more than just the quarterback issue for the Dolphins. Like, the play calling has been so vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it does not look like Mike McDaniel.
Nah.
So
It's just Mike Daniel now.
yeah, let's hope things turn around. Cool. All right. Next up, we got the Bills versus the Seahawks playing in Seattle. 46-point over under. Bills favored by 3 points.
Yeah, sure. I like Kenneth Walker a lot in this game. I don't think there's a game you don't like Kenneth Walker in, but this is a soft matchup for him. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see how much better Amari Cooper looks this week. He only had 4 receptions. He looked
solid in his debut.
Yeah, he had 4 receptions. They played the Titans, so I don't feel like they were giving out too much effort. Keon Coleman went crazy in the last game. 4 receptions for 125 yards, 31 yards per catch. That is just ridiculous. But Amari Cooper, 4 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown, 16 yards a catch. Khalil Shakir, 7 receptions. Like, this is what they need. I think Amari Cooper just completely rounded this team out with the addition of Ray Davis. I mean, James Cook, 12 carries for 32 yards and a touchdown. Ray Davis, 5 carries for 41 yards and a touchdown. Like, that kid is insanely good. And I think he's just going to get more and more opportunities as it goes on. And it's nice because it saves Josh Allen. He doesn't have to run as much now. So, looks good.
Yeah, a little less exciting for fantasy with Allen running less, but much better for the Bills overall.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you fire up DK. I think I'm going to end up starting JSN. Let me see. I was in a little bit of a situation. Maybe I won't need to. I think it's all for me going to depend on Jaden Reed, how he's looking.
Well, DK might not play in this game. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's really banged up. He's doubtful to play. So. He's got a sprained MCL listed as doubtful for the game. He's been limited all week in practice, and he was a limited participant today, so I doubt he plays, honestly.
Oh, sweet. Jaden Reed is no longer questionable.
There you go. But
Tyreek is questionable with the foot still listed as questionable. I got a decision to make. Yeah, if DK's out, I love JSN this week.
Yeah.
Be a little PPR monster. Yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much covers it as far as the Bills versus the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Okay, Saints versus Chargers. 41.5-point over under. Playing in LA, Chargers favored by 7. J.K. Dobbins is going to go nuts.
I was about to say hashtag J.K. Dobbins. Smash start.
Man, out of nowhere, the Saints are just a prime matchup for fantasy running backs.
Yeah.
It's just been crazy. I mean, like they haven't been able to stop anything defensively, but the run game has just been unbelievable. It's just like free fantasy points for running backs.
Yeah.
So
it makes me really emo thinking about the fact that my Cowboys couldn't do anything in the running game against this defense.
really, how long ago was that matchup? Because this popped off just the last 2 weeks. They've just been absolutely porous for defense.
So that was in week, I believe, 3.
Okay, that was when there were still like something's been going on with the Saints over the last like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Started with the Tampa Bay game, and then Denver just ran all over them. So I'm so fired up about J.K. Dobbins in this game.
It should be.
And I mean, is Carr going to be back?
Let me look that up because I don't know. I don't know when he was supposed to be back.
Because that's a major difference. They clearly really need him.
Why is he not showing up for me?
Yeah, that's weird. Yes, he's just not on Sleeper.
I know, I can't find him on Sleeper. What the heck is going on here?
There he is. He's doubtful.
Okay. Probably not playing then. Yeah.
Oblique, doubtful for week 8 as of 2 hours ago.
Spencer Rattler. He's going to win this game.
Yeah, we'll see. Are they going to give it to Rattler? Or are they going to go?
Dude, of course. He played good, man. You're being way too harsh on him. He didn't even turn the ball over.
Yeah, he did. He didn't throw a pick, but he actually turned the ball over twice. He fumbled it away.
All right.
Pick 6.
All right.
Twice.
All right. I don't see a fumble on his record for that game.
Well, it happened.
Wait, they're not even showing his. He played against Denver, didn't he? Oh, wait, here we go. Okay. Yeah, he had 2 fumbles. That's fine. As long as he doesn't throw an interception, that's all I'm worried about. Their O-line's atrocious, man. He was getting like clobbered back there.
It is. I don't even know where to point to. I will say Cedric Wilson actually looked pretty good in this game.
Yeah.
For receivers, but like there's not really.
Juwan Johnson's interesting just because he's getting a lot of targets.
Yeah. Is Olave still out? Let's take a look.
No, he's good to go.
Okay. So Olave, yeah, I mean,
yeah, I think he started
scary defensive matchup. But
MVS is also activated this week, so that'll be interesting to see
for the Saints. Okay.
So I think he's got the downfield potential that they're missing from not having Rashid Shaheed anymore, but whether he can catch it or not is a question. But yeah, I like Spencer Rattler, man. I really do. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's had 2 really tough matchups. He played Tampa Bay, then he played Denver. Now he's going into the Chargers. But if they can, I mean, if I'm the Saints, I'd let him get through the next 2 weeks, and I bring Carr back after Carolina. Because if the Saints can't beat Carolina without Carr and with this running game that they have, then they're doomed. But after that, they go to Atlanta, so you're going to need Carr there.
Yeah, well, I will say on the Chargers side, I do like Ladd McConkey and Josh Palmer, both of them. Let's see, how's Will Dissly looking? Is he
but good?
Dude,
he's missed another practice. My God, he played 1 game. He had this crazy game. They threw him into an injury, man.
Misses another practice, shoulder injury. If he's good to go, like that's a solid tight end streamer, though.
Yeah, and if he's not good to go, I like Hayden Hurst a lot. I think Hayden Hurst will pick up all that work.
Well, I think that honestly, all sides of the offense for the Chargers for fantasy looks good this week because the Saints couldn't stop anything through the air or on the ground. But J.K. Dobbins is going to go nuts.
Yeah, they've also been talking about using Kamani Vidal more. So that was from Harbaugh himself. He was saying that they need to start giving him more opportunities. So that'll be fun to see him because I think Kamani's really good. I just don't think he's
looked
touches
good.
It.
Yeah, his limited opportunities, he's looked good. This could be a perfect spot for him. Maybe sneak into a potential flex option, but
Yeah.
only if you're super desperate. But if there's a defense right now that can just like produce fantasy points for you,
Yeah.
it's the Saints. And like, let's see, maybe they clean things up, but something's going on there.
I will say, like personally, I've been thinking about it myself. I've just been trying to like commit to the right offer, but I'm trying to trade for Kamani Vidal because, in my opinion, J.K. Dobbins is super injury prone. If he goes down, Kamani's going to go nuts, like absolutely nuts. So he's a big one to go get. If you have Dobbins, you need to go get him as a handcuff for sure. But honestly, just as like a piece to have that you're going to hold on to, I love Kamani right now. I think he's the guy to go snag. Yeah,
I agree. But yeah, so Ladd McConkey, still like him this week, and Josh Palmer, I think they both will have no issue against this Saints defense, unless they just turn back into themselves this week, which there's a chance.
Right.
But all right, Chiefs versus Raiders, playing in Las Vegas, 41.5 over under, Chiefs favored by 9.5. Oof, yeah, this is. I mean, other than Brock Bowers, is there anybody?
I like Alexander Madison, I think, a little bit. It's a really, really tough rushing matchup, but someone's gonna have to get the attempts.
I mean, didn't they give what's his name, White? Didn't they give him or Knight, their running back?
Zamir White. He only had 3 attempts. Alexander Madison had 23 carries for 92 yards. So.
Nice.
Yeah, he got a lot of work. So I do like Madison in this game. I think it just, I think we'll probably see Desmond Ridder start. I'm praying for Desmond Ridder to do his best, man. I really enjoyed watching that dude's interview he had, where he was like kind of teary-eyed and talking about how important it is for him to like make it at a point to just go out there and give it his all. And he was like talking about his daughter and stuff. So I really enjoyed that. I hope the guy does good. And I mean, he really had a rough go of it with Atlanta, man. I don't really think that was the best spot for him to land. So hopefully,
and then he went to the Cardinals. He went to the Cardinals and got cut before the season started.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of hoping for the best for him. Hopefully he can find a rhythm here with the Raiders, who really need help. Because Gardner Minshew just looked like he's taken a tremendous leap backwards. But they're saying they're starting Gardner, so maybe it already isn't working out with Desmond. But who knows? We'll see, I guess.
Well, we'll get to see DeAndre Hopkins make his Chiefs debut.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if he gets in for a touchdown. I mean, Hopkins I think Hopkins with Mahomes is going to be nasty. He could jump right into that Rashee Rice role. I think this is going to be, if you have Hopkins, like I'm starting him this week right away, but I think this is going to be great for Hopkins for fantasy moving forward.
Yeah.
Especially because we still have no Juju this week. So Kareem Hunt was like a little bit banged up, but I think he's cleared to go. He's like good to go. So yeah, I mean, I think the Chiefs are just gonna like walk through this game.
Yeah, I mean, unless Max Crosby just really
he can be a problem.
He can. I mean, this could get ugly if they really rattle Mahomes, who's been playing pretty mid all year.
Yeah.
We'll see if they can get the ground game going with Madison and they really disrupt him on offense. This game could get interesting because it is a rival game. So crazier things have happened. I mean, the Dolphins beat Tom Brady his entire career and they were horrible when he played against them. So it's like there's those things. Those things exist.
And didn't the Raiders beat the Chiefs last year? Like an unexpected victory?
Twice, didn't they? Didn't they beat them in both matchups?
They match up well against them for some reason.
Yeah.
So I think this could be interesting for sure. I'm excited to watch this one actually. Okay. All right, Panthers. What's up?
I was gonna say they beat him in the season opener, and then they lost him in the middle of the season. But
enjoy sports betting and daily fantasy? Well, Daily Grind is here to help you beat the books. They make premium DFS tools that do all the work for you, comparing lines across just about every platform, looking for discrepancies for you to take advantage of. Start off your research with their DFS Optimizer, a tool that finds all the best plays and rates them with their odds to hit indicator. Or if you'd rather have them make your entire slip for you, they have you covered with their AI slip generator. They'll even notify you when a new slip is available. Go to dgfantasy.com and use code BACKDOOR. They will give you 25% off your first subscription all the way up to a year if you want. That's dgfantasy.com, code BACKDOOR.
Okay. Panthers, Broncos. Fire up that Broncos DST. I am so excited. Like, okay, so for Dynasty, I had the Cowboys. I drafted them in our startup. It was a great first year, and then it's been a little bit iffy. And I saw the Broncos defense just sitting on the waiver wire. Got them for free right before they really started popping off, just because I liked Patrick Surtain. And now we've got Andy Dalton out. We've got the Broncos DST versus the Panthers with our boy Bryce Young. I want the Broncos DST to score me like 30 points this week.
Well, they're not, because Bryce Young's gonna light you guys up.
yeah, exactly. This couldn't be a more sure shot for me with DST.
It's gonna be horrible, man. No Deontay Johnson either. So this kid's got no safety blanket coming into this game. I can't wait. Panthers fans are going to be very pissed off when this game starts. I think it's going to be horrible.
He's like, finally, I get my chance to start again.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're going up against the Broncos, bro, and no Deontay.
The Broncos are probably like the number one defense right now, in my opinion. I think them and the Steelers look really, really good. Because the Vikings got exposed last night. So
they did. 41 point over under. Broncos favored by 11, playing in Denver. If you want like a floor play, you can still trust Chuba Hubbard. Like, he's always a solid floor play. And I don't think Brooks is back this week, unless I'm mistaken. I think he's...
Even better news for the Panthers. Pat Surtain, I'm feeling great, and he's good to go, cleared from protocol today. So, so there you go.
Oh my God. I can't wait for this. The Broncos defense for fantasy has been the first defense in a long time that I'm literally like giddy to be owning. Like, so when I saw this matchup against the Panthers, I'm like, you're going to help me win this week. Like, my DST is literally going to help me win this week. Chuba Hubbard, I don't think he's going to go nuts, but I mean, he might get a ton of work with Bryce Young back there.
This comment, this guy said, Pat Surtain back just in time to pick off Bryce Young 3 times.
And then I love Javonte Williams this week.
Oh yeah, big
soft matchup. They're going to be running the clock, and even Jaleel McLaughlin, like he's a solid flex this week. For receivers, it's going to be interesting. Troy Franklin's really been making a lot of noise. They're really, it was like he wasn't even getting snaps at the beginning of the season, and then all of a sudden they're really wanting to see what they've got in these rookies. Like we saw that last game. They didn't even target Cortland Sutton once in the entire game, that they were just like tearing apart the Saints. I'm really high on Valet, just as like a future prospect for Dynasty. But Troy Franklin has looked good. He's getting end zone targets. He's getting, a lot of work. So, and I mean, I think Bo Nix is a killer start this week. That dude is a tank, man. Like he should be able to probably go for at least like 40 or 50 rushing yards this week.
Yeah, I think their one tight end's a little interesting too. Lucas Kroll.
Yeah,
he's been the one that's been getting work. Yeah, and he looks like the best option they have at tight end. So I mean, Greg Dulcich just looks really bad, but Dulcich, yeah. Maybe he can turn into something. I mean,
he looked good his first year, but I don't know if he's like still a little bit like lingering from that injury, because he was out for a long time. And then Adam Troutman, big, good blocker, but Kroll is the pass catcher they've been going with.
He's a big dude too, 6'6", 260. Like that guy is he's a truck of a being. So yeah, definitely. I think he's the one to kind of keep an eye on.
Yeah, I agree. All of a sudden, the Broncos are kind of a fun team,
Yeah.
Like this is a fun situation out here.
Defensively, they're a really fun team to watch. I mean, even right out the
Yeah.
beginning of the season, you could just see it. We were talking about that like week 1, like, okay, don't overreact, but the Broncos defense is looking pretty scary. So,
Yeah.
but
All right. Bears versus Commanders
fun
playing in
game.
Washington. This will be fun. Yeah. 43-point over under. Bears favored by 3. I think that Jaden has a chance to play.
Yeah.
Let's double check that.
If Jaden has a chance to play, then I think
I figured out why my sleeper wasn't pulling up. It's because I had it set to tight ends.
Oh.
And I'm like, where? There's no Derek Carr. Like, okay.
Status in question for Sunday. So yeah,
it's going to be fun, even if it's Mariota.
Yeah. What a hilarious stat line from his last game, though. Jaden Daniels, only 2 completions for 6 yards, but he ran 3 times for 50 yards. Dude, it was averaging 16 yards a carry. He's just such a freak athlete, man.
He is.
Yeah, I think Mariota looked pretty solid in that last game. Obviously, there wasn't a lot of pressure. It was Carolina, so he just kind of came in there and did what he wanted. He looked just like Jaden Daniels when he checked in. That's just how bad Carolina is. But
and how good Cliff Kingsbury is, because the movement of the offense has been so impressive. I think I talked so much trash about Cliff Kingsbury when he had his stint with the Cardinals, because I'm a huge Cardinals fan. All AZ sports are my teams. But I mean, this dude has taken such a step with his time off, and now he's back at the helm, and he looks so good as a play caller. Like, we have all this talent, like Jaden Daniels, unbelievable, rookie of the year on lock. But when you actually watch the way this team is moving and the motion, and it's just like there's so much going on, so much creativity behind the play calling. I'm so impressed with Cliff. And so hats off to him for just looking amazing. And then you saw Mariota come in, and it looked the same. It was like all of this motion is just so hard for defenses to figure out, but the Bears are really good.
It won't look the same this week. It won't. I think it's going to look really grim if Mariota's in there. I just think it's easy to go through your reads, and he had so much time in the pocket against Carolina. Like, it didn't even look like they were trying to touch him. So, I think they pressured him like 3 times the entire game he was in. So it's going to
He's fast too.
He is fast. He's really good. I mean, he's always been kind of a dual threat guy, but definitely for being his age, he's still got wheels. But yeah, I think the Bears are just really, really scary. I mean,
they are. This defense is no joke.
Yeah.
The fact that Mariota's playing and it's still just a 3-point spread shows you how much respect that the Commanders have, because can you imagine, like, before the season started, if it's like Jaden Daniels is out, we don't even know what this offense looks like, and it's like, yeah, Mariota's going to be starting. Like,
yeah,
no one saw this coming from the Commanders. It's been probably the most entertaining story of the year. It's just the Commanders are instantly, like, they look so far ahead of their rebuild than anyone was expecting.
Yeah.
So we love Keenan Allen this week. Great matchup. Been getting heavy red zone usage.
Yeah,
I think he's good for at least a touchdown.
Yeah, I'll be starting him for sure.
Yeah, Keenan looking solid down the stretch for fantasy now that he's fully healthy. DeAndre Swift should be good. Brian Robinson Jr. I'm comfortable starting him even against this tough Bears defense, just because he's been so good. Terry McLaurin, yeah, I'm scared of this Bears defense, but I have no hesitancy starting the main guys for the Commanders for fantasy, because they've just like earned that respect from me.
I think if you're in a pinch, you could even like start Mariota. Honestly, I don't think it's gonna be one of those games where he's like throwing a bunch of interceptions. Maybe it is, but I think he'll be okay. It's just not gonna look like it does with Jaden Daniels, obviously. But
yeah, because this offense is built, like, if you're a mobile quarterback and Cliff's playbook, like, if this offense is built to have quarterbacks thrive. There's just too much motion going on.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that I could be totally wrong about this, but I think that there's like a low chance that we see Mariota just getting sacked a bunch. I think that there'll be a lot of motion going on. I think he's going to be good for 30 to 40 rushing yards. So I think you're right. He has like a solid floor. He's not going to go nuts, but relatively safe play if you're in a pinch for quarterback.
For sure.
And then DeAndre Swift, you're firing him up every week right now.
Yeah.
And then DJ Moore, we just got to see. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to get him involved because it's a soft matchup for wide receivers, and he's been a little bit boom or bust the last couple of weeks. So I wouldn't be surprised if they make it a point to get him some touches. All right. And then now we've got the Sunday night game, Cowboys versus the 49ers, playing in San Francisco, 47-point over/under. San Francisco favored by 4. That's hilarious.
We haven't won a game at home yet, so hopefully
maybe on the road you'll do a little better.
Yeah, hopefully we can go get this one. I mean, I pray we should by all means. I mean, the Niners.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean the Niners are gutted right now. Like when it comes to talent, like if our defense can't stop this offense with like what they have going for them right now, like if Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings come out there and they torch my defense, I'm turning the game off. I can promise you that much. I can't watch more burnt
he's
toast.
ruled out. Juwan Jennings is out.
Yeah, so again, if we lose this game and it's because of offense from the Niners, I'm gonna lose it. Like, I
mean, I don't know, man. Like, let's see, is Kittle good to go? If you still got Kittle, he's questionable for Sunday's game. This is going to be a fire up Jordan Mason. Is he okay? Like, let's see. This poor Niners
he logged
offense.
A limited practice as well.
Oh my God.
So I'm saying there's no way, and you know what, we should lose this game. Honestly, like even on the defensive side of the ball, like if we get ran over by Isaac Guerrero, I'm gonna lose my mind, and it might happen.
Isaac Guerrero and Cowing.
Yeah, it's like
And honestly, Brock Purdy he did not look great last week. He was making some poor choices.
Yeah, he made some poor choices. I mean, quarterbacks are gonna have bad games. People are overreacting so hard to that loss. It's like the dude, he had a horrible game. We've seen him have horrible games before. He played probably
He's a quarterback.
Yeah, and they played the number 1 rushing defense. Statistically, the Chiefs are the number 1 defense right now when it comes to running the ball. Yeah. So the running backs couldn't do anything. Brock Purdy couldn't really. I mean, he got 27 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, but like even their defense is getting healthier in the passing game too. Like if Justin Reed is healthy, good luck throwing the ball. I'm not kidding. Like Justin Reed is that good for the Chiefs that like he's probably one of the better free safeties in the league, if not the best. Honestly, I would go as far to say that. Like when it comes to free safeties, Justin Reed is on top of his game right now. And I'm saying that right now because Hufanga for the Niners isn't healthy. I think he's like probably the best in my opinion, but it's gonna be a fun matchup. I can't wait. The Cowboys should go get this one done. Honestly, it would be an upset to see the Niners win this game in my opinion.
All right. Well, yeah, I agree with you about the Chiefs defense. They're the reason that they've been on this run because their offense has been horrible. Their offense has looked mediocre. But that's what's scary about like the Chiefs is like with this defense. Steve Spagnuolo, just an absolute beast of a defensive coordinator, and
he gets to call timeouts too.
Yeah, if they get their offense rolling, they just look totally set up for another run. Interesting though. You watch the Cowboys closer than I do because that's your favorite team. But yeah, man, I just don't know.
There's a connection issue on offense for sure, but I think a lot of the connectional issues you're seeing at wide receiver is coming from no run game. Like, I'm sorry, but Rico Dowdle and Zeke don't look good. They just don't. Rico looks like he gets
good.
No, he gets opportunities. He doesn't capitalize on those opportunities.
Good, bro.
He's only saying this because he has Rico, but he does not look good. I'm not in denial. I'm a fan. I wish Rico was good, but he's horrible.
He averaged 5 yards a carry last week.
On how many attempts?
5 attempts.
Yeah. All
They
right.
only gave him 5. The week before that, 20 carries, 87 yards. He's averaged every week except for week 1. He's averaged over 4 yards a carry. And then the passing game last week. So yeah, averaged 5 yards a carry last week, and then 6 targets, 5 receptions, 30 yards. I'm not saying that he's the best, but I think that like
he could definitely use more opportunities, like for sure. He should be getting 15 carries a game, I think. We have no run game. Honestly, this to me, the whole Cowboys thing is boiling down to Mike McCarthy is way in over his head. Like, I'm sorry, that's just what I believe. I'm a huge fan, not of Mike McCarthy, of my team. And I think there's 2 things going on that are really hindering the progress of the team right now. That's Jerry Jones and it's Mike McCarthy. Those 2 guys are an absolute dumpster fire together. And I think when you watch the success of Cowboys in the past, we've had coaches who aren't afraid to just do their own thing. And, you know, when that happens, like, it just looks so much better. And like when you had creative play calling in the run game, we looked better, and our passing looked better. So I don't know. It's just really bad. I think Mike McCarthy is in the hot seat, if not boiling in the pot already at this point. I don't know if you guys saw the clip of them walking out of the game, not last week, but the week before, because they had a bye week. But Jerry Jones wouldn't even talk to Mike McCarthy. He was like asking him a question, and he just kept walking. Jerry Jones is in his like absolute Darth Vader era right now. Like,
he is. He seems so toxic right now, and
mad. Yeah,
he's on a different level with just not giving an F.
Yeah,
this year, and I saw that clip of Dalton Schultz talking about those star tours that they do, where it's like the only team in the NFL where they give tours of the entire facility all the time. And he said that you, as a player, you literally feel like an animal at the zoo because these tours go right through their gym. And he said, he's like, you're in there trying to work out as an athlete, and there's people staring at you, trying to get your attention to like get a picture or something. And Jerry Jones came out and said something like, the players know not to question me on that because they know that they'd be like a fish swimming upstream. Like basically like he's never going to not do that. And it's like, I get it. You've got this insane franchise worth billions of dollars.
Yeah. They're the most wealthy franchise for a reason. You know, it's like year in and year out, the Cowboys make an insane amount of money off of their brand. And I mean, I've got Cowboys stuff littered all over my house too, so I'm guilty as charged. But you know, it's just they make really cool stuff too, and like, but I think a lot of the appeal of that massive stadium they have, I mean, you know, that sucks that they do that to those guys. That's horrible. I mean, that would yeah, that would suck to like be worrying about that in the locker room or whatever it is. But yeah, that's not cool. But Jerry Jones is on a different level right now. I mean, the whole like threatening to fire the radio host on live.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
Was crazy.
Like, this guy, it seems like he's reaching this point where it's almost kind of like if that was your grandpa and he was acting that way around the house, you'd maybe get the family together and be like, we got to talk about grandpa.
Dude,
like, what's going
especially
on?
when he started talking about, you know, what sizes with Jamie Foxx. Like, what was that, dude? But yeah, weird I mean, stuff.
As a consumer, I do think it would be fun, even not even a Cowboys fan. If I was in Dallas, I would take a tour of the stadium.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's actually, from a consumer point, it's actually kind of fun that you get to see everything, you know, and get a guided tour. But as a player, I would hate that.
Yeah.
Be like, I mean, give me a little bit of privacy.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel both. I feel a couple ways about that because at the same time, it's like you're a professional athlete. It sucks that like in your guys' gym, in your facility, that's happening. But it's not like
windows.
Yeah, it's not like you're in a private gym at home and he's bringing them to your house. It's like you're there at the facility working out. So it's like, I don't know. That's. I feel like that's just a little bit of like, I got traded bitterness maybe coming out of Schultz.
No, he turned down the contract and went and signed with the Texans.
Yeah. I don't know.
He turned that contract down because everyone was like, I can't believe Schultz turned down that much money, like guaranteed.
Yeah.
But anyways, we move on.
Yeah.
Giants versus Steelers Monday night. But that Cowboys game, I mean, we say this every week, but all these games, I find I'm looking at reasons why I'm excited to tune into these games. But All right, so Monday night we got Giants versus Steelers playing in Pittsburgh. 36.5 over under. Pittsburgh favored by 6. And
That's fair.
yeah, that's fair. I think what I really can't wait to see is, Russ looked great in his first game. We were just like singing his praises. It was such a bounce back for him, and that offense, when everyone was questioning Mike Tomlin, like, is he going to do this? They have a winning record, and Fields has looked good. And then right before the game started, I remember you and I were talking about it, and we were kind of like, you know what, like, I don't remember specifically if we talked about this or if we just briefly brushed upon it, but I know that I was thinking, okay, Russ won in OTAs. Tomlin knows more about these two quarterbacks than we do as the public.
Yeah.
And Tomlin is not stupid. That dude is maybe the best coach in the game.
Yeah. If there's one coach that you're going to trust, there's a couple of them, but Mike Tomlin's in that category of like Andy Reid level veteranism when it comes to coaching a winning team. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. So
unbelievable. Yeah. And when's the last time? I mean, even Big Ben, like Ben Roethlisberger in his last couple of years didn't look great.
Well,
so it's like, when's the last time
40 yards?
Yeah. When's the last time they had like a, just like a prominent in his prime quarterback, and they've just won year after year after year, making it to the playoffs. And so what I can't wait to see in this matchup is what Russ looks like, because that Jets defense was all beat up. But outside of that, the balls he was throwing, in the control of the offense, and calling audibles, reading the defenses, like, he looked so much better than Justin Fields, who I still think has a bright future, and I'm excited for him. I want him to be able to play football for sure. But as far as commanding an offense, Russ looked so comfortable.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, he looked like such a G in that game.
I was excited to bring this up because I was realizing it. I went back and watched some old tape of Russ with the Seahawks during their prime. And if you look at how that offense ran, it is almost identical to the offense that the Steelers ran with him in the last game, where it's like they're not making him do the impossible. He's just being a facilitator. And it's like, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Get him these beautiful little passes over the top of the defense on like these wheel routes or these like quick digs, or like it's all quick, fast, and he's in shotgun. That is Russell Wilson's game. So if you let Russell Wilson play his game he's been playing for 10 years now, he's going to get you some wins. And he looked really, really good in that last game. So to me, I was like, they're running the same offense the Seahawks were. They're hammering the ball down your throat, and then they're just throwing it over the top when they need to. And he's perfect at that.
And man, this is the best thing for fantasy owners that have George Pickens. Like, he brought that to life. And the hang time on even some of these short throws, like, he lofts it up so high and lays it right in the hands of the receiver in stride, but out of the reach of the defender. It was just such a beautiful display.
Well, and Russell Wilson's a big tight end guy, so just hold tight with Pat Freiermuth, because he's going to be lethal soon. Already in that game, 3 targets for 2 receptions for 51 yards. Like, that's the second best performance he's had yardage wise already, and he only had 2 receptions. So give him some time, and he's going to be a touchdown machine. I swear. Like, that's just how it goes.
I'm loving this narrative too, because this story with the Steelers this year is so cool. The way they've been like winning these games, their defense looks absolutely elite. And it hasn't been as bad with Arthur Smith. I just had some personal vendettas against him because of what he did to Bijan. But like, this situation now, all of a sudden, it's like you're thinking like, okay, the Steelers, maybe they'll make a little playoff run, but how far can they go? And then you see, if this is the truth about Russ as the quarterback here, like if what we saw last week is the truth about what their offense just looks like week in and week out, they all of a sudden look like they have a chance to make a run here.
Yeah. Like, really, that's what I didn't want to say that earlier, but I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, in my head, I'm sitting here thinking, man, is this like a deep playoff run year for them? Potentially like sneaking in type year, because it really could be that way. You look at these other teams and how shaky they have been. The Steelers have had a very strong consistency point, and that's been insanely good defense. And that wins championships. I mean,
Bro.
look at the Rams when they went against the Patriots. Their defense was locked in.
Bro, that field goal block was unbelievable. Like the timing, like their special teams coach, the timing of all those guys jumping up and blocking that field goal was like they timed it so perfect. And I feel like those are the details that other teams don't focus on as hard as it seems like the Steelers defense, like the little things.
Yeah.
And
Dude,
it was unbelievable. They're leading the league in field goal blocks, and it makes a difference.
Oh, yeah. And that guy is so amazing, dude. He puts half a pack of Big League Chew in his mouth. Like, that's why it is insane how much gum that guy has in his mouth. And they about killed him. They like knocked him over, and he like flailed back on his head, and he was all hurt after the game. They say he like messed up his neck, but that guy is awesome. The Steelers culture is just so much fun. That's one thing. Me and Russo were talking about this. I'm like, I've always been kind of like a closeted fan of the Steelers because their culture is so dialed in. No matter who they bring in, no matter what it is, Tomlin.
And they travel.
Yeah,
my God.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, there's fans, man. The terrible towels are everywhere. But
I hated that in Arizona when it's like all of a sudden you're like at the Cardinals stadium and there's terrible towels everywhere. You're like, what is even going on?
Yeah, it's a thing for sure. But their culture is awesome, and they're locked in for sure. It's not a culture like the Philadelphia Eagles where it's like this toxic, mad culture. It's like, no, these guys are just fans, like diehards.
Yeah.
So
resilient.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Giants a little bit.
Yeah.
So we've been going on about this.
Forgot all about them.
Yeah. If the Giants defense is healthy, they've shown some spark. And what's his name? Sexy Dexy.
Oh yeah,
Dexter
Lawrence, right?
Dexter Lawrence. Yeah. And then the other dude, Spider. Forget his name. They went and got him. Is it Brian Burns or something?
Oh yeah, Brian Burns. Like, dude, incredible how good that guy is.
Yeah, and the two of them, that is a decision. I think one of the better decisions they made in the offseason is getting that handled.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Hopefully this is a fun, close game. But I mean,
I don't hate Daniel Jones, man. Like I think Daniel Jones, if you give him, it really just depends what version of Daniel Jones you're gonna get on what night. And so for some reason in primetime, Daniel Jones performs pretty well. Like, we saw him in the last primetime game. He threw for 41 attempts, and he only turned the ball over one time, but he went and they played Seattle and they beat Seattle, and he went for 34 attempts on 23 completions, almost 300 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 11 rushing attempts for 38 yards. But the problem with him is he gets sacked a lot, right? I mean, my God, he got sacked 7 times against Philly and lost 56 yards. So that's rough. But he also fumbled twice. But I think it just depends what version of him you're gonna get. And Tyron Tracy, he looks amazing. I don't know if
Singletary's healthy, but he was cleared to play that last game, dealing with a little bit of a groin injury, so maybe that has something to do with it. But Singletary only played 21% of snaps, got 5 carries and 1 target.
Yeah, he's losing work to Tracy, man. That ship has sailed to go get him. Hopefully you guys went and got him when we were singing his praises all year long. He's only 93% owned in Dynasty still, so maybe you have a chance. Maybe redraft, you have a chance, but I think he takes over fully before the year is over, and we might already be there. We'll see, but
yeah. Well, it's a tough matchup, but other than Neighbors, there's not really many pieces that I really feel comfortable with.
No, even in this
fantasy,
game, Tracy's.
Not this week.
No, I wouldn't start Tracy this week.
Yeah, I wouldn't start any of the running backs.
Yeah.
Other than Neighbors, I can't think of any actual pieces that I like, but hopefully they surprise us and pull it out. All right, let's get into DraftKings lineups.
Sweet.
For the week.
Let me see how I did last week. I'm sure you got me because my team looked horrible.
I don't. I'll have to pull mine up too. I don't.
You had to have done better than me.
You had that bad of a week.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. I put up 74 points. Jaden Daniels was my quarterback, though. Trey Sermon was my running back. So
I didn't do that great either. I only did 123.26.
oh well, he beat me.
I had Tyrone Tracy. He didn't do great. The only person that popped off was my tight end start of the week, David Njoku. 23.6 fantasy points, touchdown, 76 yards, 10 receptions.
My best player was Terry McLaurin with 15 points.
Yeah, I had Terry as well. All right. Well, you want to go first?
Sure. So starting off at quarterback, I'm going to try to get dialed in this week. I'm going expensive this week with my quarterback. I did last week too, but he ended up getting hurt. Jordan Love, taking him at 7,100. This matchup against Jacksonville is just too dang crispy. I think Jordan Love's going to go absolutely nuts. I could see him getting like 3 or 4 passing touchdowns in this game, no problem, especially with Jaden Reed being healthy now. Romeo Doubs is looking like he's playing angry and he wants some sort of revenge. I don't know what he's angry about, but something with the coaches. So, yeah, I love Jordan Love in this matchup. 32nd in passing touchdowns allowed against a guy who could lead the league in passing touchdowns, no problem. He might even be right now, I'm not sure. Breece Hall is my first running back. $7,300 into this matchup against the Patriots. I think the Jets just win a smart game. I think they go out here and just be clean. They give Breece Hall 20-plus attempts. And they just win this game on the ground and let Aaron Rodgers do his thing where he doesn't have to worry about too much about it. I think at most, unless this game gets ugly for some reason, I think you only see Rodgers throw like 20-some times. So I love Breece Hall in this matchup. I think it's a smash start for him. New England is like 30th in rushing yards allowed, so it makes sense. My second start for running back is going to be David Montgomery. I'm not really scared of everything that happened with him. They said he's fine. They're not worried about a long-term concern or anything like that, and he's already cleared to play. The guy's been averaging 17.1 fantasy points per game, even in tough matchups. He's just looked really stellar. Last week was his worst game, and he still didn't look too bad. I mean, it was definitely a rough game, but he was still averaging 4 yards a carry. So typical David Montgomery things. He's always going to be solid, and he's just a touchdown vulture too. Unfortunately for Gibbs. If they get to the goal line, it's his. So my first wide receiver is going to be Keenan Allen for 5,800. This matchup against Washington is really good, and Keenan Allen's looking a lot better. He looks healthy, and he's just a touchdown machine. We all know this, and he can turn into a PPR machine too. He can turn into that guy who's just catching a ton of balls, and he's open all the time. So loving this matchup. He's only 5,800. This is super cheap for the value you're getting out of him. I think he's looking like the wide receiver 1 right now for the team in a really stacked offense. So loving Keenan Allen. My second receiver is going to be Darnell Mooney for 5,800 against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has not looked too great in the passing defense area. Darnell Mooney, he's been looking pretty good. He had 8 targets last week and secured 5 of those balls for 46 yards. If this guy gets touchdowns, man, he has big games. The week before that, he had 2 touchdowns in the game before that. So the dude, he can definitely get there. So like him for 5,800 in this matchup against Tampa Bay, he's been averaging 13.5 fantasy points. Second up, I've got Romeo Doubs. I've really been liking what I'm seeing from Romeo Doubs. I know Jaden Reed's healthy, but again, going back to this matchup against Jacksonville, I think all these guys are going to eat. I think Romeo Doubs is looking like a real touchdown threat. Jaden Reed is like the gadget guy. He's a great receiver, but he's also the guy that takes the rushing attempts and stuff like that. So I like Romeo Doubs to get opened up by having a healthy Jaden Reed. Even before when I built this play, knowing that Jaden Reed was healthy, I still just think Romeo Doubs is like the second best receiver on the team, if not, they're the best receiver. So at tight end, I like Hunter Henry this week. I think he's looking like Drake May's favorite target. He got targeted a whole bunch in the last game. He had 9 targets for 8 receptions for 92 yards. If he found his way into the end zone, this would have been an absolute monster performance. So I'd like him to maybe sneak his way in. Softer matchup to tight ends too. So it's looking pretty good for Hunter Henry and Drake May's connection. At the flex, I've got Rashad Bateman. I think for what you're getting for his price tag, at 4,300 for a guy who just went for 4 receptions and 121 yards and a touchdown. I think it's just going to get better and better for him, and Zay Flowers is a little bit banged up right now, so that's always good for your stock when you're looking for a guy like Rashad Bateman, who has been taken off the last couple of weeks. So for 4,300, I think you have to fit Bateman in somewhere. And then my DST is going to be the Broncos against Carolina for 3,700. I just think that's a silly price tag and matchup, so got to go with them.
We got a really similar lineup here this week.
I figured we might, yeah.
All right. So my quarterback's also Jordan Love. It's just really simple this week. He has got such a smash matchup here. And yeah, I think he's going to go absolutely nuts. So Jordan already kind of broke that down, so I'll just keep it rolling. My RB1 is going to be J.K. Dobbins. We talked about him. This is just a killer matchup against this Saints defense. So unless they figure something out, I think he's just going to absolutely dominate and go. I think he'll be over 100 yards and a touchdown. My RB2 is going to be Javonte Williams. Talked about this already on the show. His matchup against Carolina, this defense against Bryce Young is going to be awesome. I think that they'll just be running the clock. So I think him and Jaleel McLaughlin will be getting a lot of touches in this game. And then my wide receiver one is Rashad Bateman. Same reasons, came off. He's been looking good for the last 3 weeks. And now we have a somewhat, limited Zay Flowers, and then a soft matchup against Cleveland, 27th in against wide receivers. And then my wide receiver 2 is going to be Romeo Doubs at 5,700. I think that he's good for at least 1 touchdown, maybe 2. He seems like he is the main red zone guy with Christian Watson. I don't think he's playing this week. And then my wide receiver 3 is going to be, I believe his name is Jalen McMillan. Yeah, I knew it was Jay McMillan, but yeah, he's looked like the most heavily targeted wide receiver that we've seen without Godwin and Mike Evans. He had 8 receptions last week. So he's got a soft matchup here, 24th against wide receivers at just 3,700. I'm gonna bet on him being the main target for receivers this week. And then I've got Cade Otton at tight end, 3,500. We talked about this already. Pretty solid matchup, 15th against tight ends, and he went off for 100 yards last week. So I think with the absence of Baker's main targets, it's going to be Cade Otton. He should be good for a decent amount of receptions. And then at the flex, I've got Saquon Barkley for 8,300. Was able to spend up a little bit with Jalen McMillan being so cheap. But 8,300, just running with the consistency here. I do think that the Bengals, if they're smart, they're going to game plan to try to take him out of the game. But he's just looked so resilient this year, and they're going to feed him no matter what. So I like him this week at the flex. And then I'm going with Broncos DST too, because you guys already saw how giddy I was about just even owning them in fantasy for this matchup. So This is absolutely the defensive start of the week, which surprisingly they weren't the number one, were they? I think, let's see. Yeah, they actually, DraftKings has the Lions against Tennessee as the top.
I just don't trust that one as much, honestly.
Well, I think that's not factoring in the fact that Bryce Young is starting.
Yeah, and like I could see the Titans getting their run game going, so it's like I just think this Broncos matchup is super silly.
Yeah, both are great starts for DST this week, but the Broncos, this should be so fun to watch. This poor kid, Bryce Young. Good luck, bro. All right, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. That's going to wrap us up. Have a great weekend, and we will catch you in the next video.
Good luck, guys.